Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben, and in this episode of the Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue podcast, we're talking to a bloke who's taken his passion for barbecue to a whole new level. Hey family, I hope you're well wherever you are and you got that thin blue smoke rolling. Coming up in today's episode, we're having a chat with Daniel Barrington from Smoke Beyond Smoked Barbecue Competition Team. He's just recently taken out the grand champion winner of Day 2 of the Brisbane BBQ Festival, and that was a really unique festival. We're going to get into that a bit later on, but before we get to that, I do have a couple of announcements that I need to run by you. The first is that our podcast partner program is now well underway. We've found several businesses to partner up with, and we've been sharing their message out through the podcast here. And we've got some case study information that we can present to you now. So the first business partnered up with us for 5 episodes, and we got a total views and listens of 51,221 with a total reach of 171,489. And the second group, we managed to get over 5 episodes, 82,500 total views and listens, and a total reach of just under 250,000. So if you're out there, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, and you've got a barbecue business and you want to get your message out in front of the masses, send me an email, ben@smokinghotconfessions.com, or shoot me a direct message on whatever platform you're enjoying this podcast, and we'll have a bit of a conversation about that and how we can help you out. Now, if you're at the opposite end of the journey, if you're just at the start of your low and slow journey, head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com. We've got a free ebook available for you, The Beginner's Guide to Real Barbecue. And what that is a free ebook with all the information you need to get set up and started in the world of low and slow. So no more burnt sausages, no more crunchy black onions, no more boring food. You're going to have delicious smoked meats whenever you want it. And we've got that set up for you. And that little ebook actually took out an award for educational writing over at the NBBQA Awards in the United States last year. So it's an award-winning free ebook available for you there. It's a great little resource. Now, if you're joining us today over at the Smoking Hot Confessions barbecue community on Facebook for this live recording, I want to give you all a big welcome and a big thumbs up to you. I can see we're getting some thumbs up rolling through the comments and the question section there. So if you do have some comments and questions for Daniel, make sure you pop them into the section underneath the live video there, and I'll put them to him a bit later on in the episode. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube later on, give us a thumbs up, a subscribe, and hit that little notification bell. Over on Facebook, it's all about the likes, the comments, and the shares. On IGTV, make sure you give us a cute little heart, leave us a comment, and follow us as well. And of course, if you listen to this on a podcast app, particularly if it's Apple Podcasts, please take a minute to rate and review. It really helps to drive us up the charts and spread our message and spread the message of our guests and our podcast partners. So, for example, in the last 30 days, we've been as high as number 6 on the US podcast charts for food and as high as number 3 on the Australian podcast charts for food. And that's all down to you guys jumping in, helping us out, and giving us those ratings and reviews. So thank you very much for that. Now, back to today's episode. So, Daniel Barrington, Smoked Beyond Smoked, recent winner of Day 2 of the Brisbane BBQ Festival. Now, that was the first ever ABA doubleheader in Australia, to my knowledge at least. So it was literally an endurance event. It was an absolute mammoth affair, and it drew, I was talking to Adam Roberts at the event. He said we had a couple of cancellations from border closures, but of the 17 teams that were competing, between them they had over 30 GC awards. So that was a huge field for Daniel to be up against. And I can see him in the green room. He's shaking his head as I'm saying it. So I'm not sure he can believe it either. Look, that's probably enough of a lead in from me. Let's bring him in here.
This is the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast with your host, Ben Arnott. How long's it been since your last confession?
Daniel, welcome to the show, my friend. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ben. Appreciate it.
Anytime, mate, anytime. So I always start off each show with the same question, mate. What was the last thing that you barbecued?
I actually had to think about that. Just what was the last thing I barbecued, and it would have been at work. And I baked 2 cheesecakes in the smoker, caramelized chocolate baked cheesecakes. Yeah, so I don't know how they turned out because they're at work and I'm on my day off. So
Oh, right. So you're going to have to ring in and like place an order and have someone put it aside for you in the cool room.
Yeah, if there's any left, hopefully.
Yeah. Just run that by me again. It was a baked caramelized chocolate cheesecake.
Yeah, so caramelized chocolate. So I took the chocolate to the point where it was like really sticky, not burnt, but like it's a very fine line, and then mixed it back through the cream cheese mixture and smoked it like so traditional baked cheesecake. But yeah, like put it in the smoker. Does take a little bit longer in a big giant offset smoker or dessert smoker, but yeah, it looked good. But yeah, let's just see how it turned out. I'll find out probably when I go back. So
Yeah. I actually can't eat cheese, but I can eat Philadelphia cheese. So I haven't done it yet, but a smoked cheesecake is something I really want to get into. But the catch is I have to make it myself, so I know exactly what goes into it. So I'm going to have to give that a crack, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you a recipe. It's easy.
Oh, beautiful. I would love that. Thank you so much. Now, you did just mention something about a dessert smoker. Is that different to a regular smoker?
Yeah, so Luke out at Phat Boyz, when he opened up prior to opening up the restaurant, he said to me, he's like, what would you like to cook on, on primarily as a dessert-based smoker? And I think it was purely to separate, meats and like cold desserts and that type of thing so that there's no cross-contamination, but also knowing that everything that comes out of that one smoker is from like is a dessert and it's all been barbecued. So we created this concept. Luke created this concept and put together a smoker from Boss Hog Smokers, and it's awesome. It's just a gas tank, I believe, and it's freestanding. It kind of works like a drum, but it's just this thick 6 mil steel. Holds its heat really well, and it's awesome, man. It's so cool. It's got about 5 racks in it, so you can bake about 10 cheesecakes at a time. So I'm stoked.
Nice, man. That sounds like a great bit of kit.
Oh, it's amazing, yeah.
So what is your favorite barbecue to cook on when you're cooking at home?
Look, it changes every week, I think. Like when I am at home, like it's few and far between now time to actually get to cook at home, which is a shame. But realistically, I still love cooking on my Weber, the kettles. I think I just like a good steak. Or if I throw something in quick and easy, I've got a Z grill as well, so I just like throw a brisket or something like that in the Z grill and just don't have to think too much about it. But more so than anything lately, I've been cooking on the OzPig, and I think we did some pizzas in there. We did did some rotisserie stuff the other week, and it's all sitting on my phone. I just haven't posted it, just been too busy. But yeah, it's a very versatile bit of kit. I do love it. So been getting that a bit of given that a bit of a workout. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got an OzPig as well, and one of my favorite things is with that smoker attachment. I like to get a boned lamb leg, season it all up, and then I actually steal the meat hooks out of my old Pro Q and I hang it off the grill. So you end up with a lamb leg hanging in the smoker chamber and dripping down onto the log fire below. It's so good.
It's amazing, and it's amazing how like quick it takes to heat up. It's not like thin crappy steel. It's like it's all well constructed, and Tony, if you've met Tony, he's a great bloke, and knows what he's doing, and he's got a massive following and a great product out there. So I'm actually really grateful I get to cook on one.
Yeah, I love mine too. The rotisserie
Amazing.
chicken is some of the best out there.
Oh yeah, we did picanha the other week, and oh man, just when you just put salt on steak and it just spins over a fire, I don't know. Salt on steak is fine, but like it's just when it's spinning for hours on end just over a fire, it's something special about it. It's amazing,
Yeah, that thick layer of fat across the top of it sort of melts and it's self-based and so good.
Stop it. Get me excited.
Well, it is lunchtime. We are trying to record this during lunchtime, so we're both making each other hungry, I think.
I just had a basic cheese sandwich. How boring am I?
Well, I haven't eaten yet, so I'm really feeling it.
Yep.
All right.
I feel
So,
for you.
yeah. So, mate, congratulations on taking out day 2 of the Brisbane BBQ Festival. That was Australia's first ABA doubleheader, to my knowledge. So, congratulations, and tell us what the feeling was like when you realised you just won your first grand championship.
Oh, it was a surprise. And I think like my teammate Matt and I were talking, and my wife's a part of our team now. And she'll look after parsley and the dishes, and she actually just helps get the visuals up in the boxes as well. She's very pedantic and makes it look tidy. But we're all talking amongst ourselves, and I said, you know what? I don't think I had a great cook. I don't know. I just and I was like, the chicken was good. It could have been this, and I'm like, oh, the ribs were really good. Like, we're really happy with the ribs. The only thing I was confident with was the pork, and I'm like hearing all these announcements come through, like Demi's saying, 5th place, 4th place, 3rd place, and I turned to Matt and I said to him, "Oh, our pork was our best hand in." I said, "We haven't got a chance here," and yep, 1st place pork, and I'm like, "Oh, there you go," and then 4th place brisket, but it was really weird. Like in any other competition, you had big hitters like Double Barrel and Smooth and Smoking Salad Dodgers, a Grant in the team, Justin and Mitch, and they were just getting calls in the top 10, and I'm like, oh well, there's no chance we got there, but I think it just came back to consistency. We were just outside the top 5 in the 2 other categories, so it was 7th and 6th, I think, in chicken and now I've gone blank, pork ribs. And then, there was 2 top 1st place and a 4th place brisket. So it was amazing. We were surprised. Well, I couldn't believe it, but sort of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was a big field. There was Country Boys, there was Jack's Creek Barbecue Team, Primal Iron, Bluebird Barbecue. I mean, as I was saying in the introduction, I was talking to Adam Roberts there, and he was telling me that of the 17 teams there, between them they had 30 grand champion wins. I mean, it was such a sharp field there that weekend.
Oh, and exactly that, and these are guys that for the last 2 years that I've been doing this, primarily it's been our first full year that we've done this, and then just done a handful of comps. But these are guys that have done it and won it and keep going back and doing it over and over again, consistent cooks. And those are the guys that have helped me. There's a difference between cooking a good brisket at home versus putting a brisket in a box. It's a vast different product that gets put in there, and that took me a while to figure that out. And then as soon as I had my light bulb moment, it was like, oh, I'm actually doing all right now. But I have to thank so many people. Your Dane Cowans and from South Australia, Dan White from Country Boys. Those guys have been in, really big parts of where I'm at now. And it's just little things that they've just taught me along the way that I'm forever grateful for it. And it's just helped me be a better cook.
Yeah, I know when I was competing, Dan and Lucas helped me a lot as well. I remember one particular competition. I don't know how, but somehow we managed to end up on Champions Row at Bangalore one year. And we had no right to be there. It was Lucas on the end, and then Dan from Country Boys, and then us, and then Double Barrel. And I remember setting up the tent, and then they moved in, and they set up their gear. I was like, "Are we in the right place? I don't think we're supposed to be on this strip." But yeah, no, Dan and Lucas took me in and showed me so much stuff that weekend.
It's amazing, and just what they do consistently. If they say they've had a bad cook, they're still pulling numbers, they're still getting trophies for stuff. And, for me, if I have a bad cook, I feel like I've burnt something, I'm just one of those things. Like, it's just, they're just so consistent, and it's like they know it like the back of their hand. And, you look at Lucas, he's right up there this year. So is Dan. And, oh man, they're great cooks, great blokes too. And, I've just learned so much from them, and really good guys, fantastic.
Yeah, the ladder is looking really aggressive this year. There's so many teams that are like fighting tooth and nail to get to the top there.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. Well, you look at, like the Butcher's Axe boys, they're just, I said to Michael the other day, he's just like, it's getting to the point. He goes, someone take our spot, because he's like, we want someone to sort of like take the spot, and we don't want any of the attention. I said, mate, if you go back to back, I don't know if anyone's done that. I don't know if anyone's done that, consecutively. Like that's like winning 2 Super Bowls or 2 grand finals in a row, and that's very rare to go by. So, part of me wants them to do really well and win it, and but then, there's my mates, my really close mates like Dan and those guys as well, and they're like second place at the moment. Yeah, and I'd love to see any of them get up. That's all I like. So, yeah, well, best of luck to them.
Yeah, it is. It is certainly really hard to pick a favourite this year. Now, mate, tell me about the lead up to Brisbane BBQ Festival. What do you like to do to prepare for a competition?
I am very much prepared. Like about from the Tuesday, bumping in on a Friday. I usually on the Tuesday I'll go pick up my meat from the guys at Super Butcher, who's just down the road from me. I'll then take it back and I'll trim the big parts, like the big meats. So whether it's like a pork shoulder or a brisket, I'll get that stuff out of the way, vacuum seal it, and put it in the fridge. But then it's just the little stuff I'll do, just like getting closer to the comp. So in preparation, I'll try and do everything at home, like beforehand, like just so that I can just roll in and cook. And but this Brisbane BBQ Festival, I didn't get the chance to do any of that. It was just working non-stop. I think it was about a 55, 60 hour week already, and it was just like starting on the Friday. I started at 1:45 a.m. cooking, and then I still hadn't trimmed a thing. So I was just like, I was on Struggle Street coming in on Friday, and but somehow got it done. That's what you do. But usually my preparation's pretty good. If I've got time, I'll make all my injections. I'll check my rubs, make sure there's no clumping, pack all my bags, and make sure everything's ready to go, so that I come Friday I can roll up the garage door and throw everything in a trailer and go.
Yeah, nice. So you started at 1:45 a.m. at work, did a day's work, and then went to the barbecue festival, and then did a double-header barbecue festival.
Yeah, it was stupid.
That's
I don't know
wild.
if I'd ever do that again.
That's wild.
Look, in all fairness too, it was, I said to Luke, I said to him, look, you've got me rostered off the day off, like, cause I asked for the day. Usually I work, from midday until close, like cooking and getting everything done. So, he said to me, he's like, no, take the day off. And then, one of the guys that starts the pits in the morning, he was like, oh, I can't start until later on because I've got a catering job that night, for the business. So he had to start later because he would have been, going on midnight before he wrapped up and got home. So I said to Luke, I'm like, mate, I'll just do it without, thinking that there's any consequence. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Roll in at before 2 a.m. and oh man, it was hard. It was really hard, especially that day. It was just that Saturday. I was just like a zombie. It was stupid, but no, had fun though. Still had fun. It was great. So.
Mate, that makes taking out day 2 an even bigger feat, knowing that you had already been up for 48 hours straight before the second competition even started.
Yeah, I didn't really think of it until you just mentioned it, but you know what? I cheated a little bit, and I went home and had a sleep because we're all Brisbane based, and I just went home. I was just like, nah, I need to sleep. I went home both days after I did all my injections and everything like that. I'm like, nah, going home, going for a sleep, and just wake me up when I have to be there.
Mate, I don't think that's cheating. I think that's smart.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So that the Brisbane BBQ Festival, Australia's first ABA doubleheader. What did you think of it as an event, as a 2-day doubleheader, low and slow competition?
It was awesome. Because when Julian put up the thing on the competitors page, he said, put up a poll and said, would you rather SEA day one and then ABA day two, or would you rather a double header? And I think it was a lot of teams in Queensland were sort of saying that they would love to do the double header purely based on the being so close to the event that was happening in Melbourne, or was scheduled to go ahead in Melbourne. So it was a chance for those top teams that were sitting inside the top 10 to sort of say, hey, look, I put up my hand, and if I can get 2 GCs in one weekend, then we're right up there. And I think that was the mental aspect of it for a lot of guys. But from what I took away from it was a really good experience. I would do it again. I would wholeheartedly do it again. But I'd probably listen to my body and take that Friday off work.
Probably a good choice, man. Good choice. Now, the first day, the hand-ins were kind of non-traditional competition hand-ins. There was beef cheeks, for example. Can you give us a bit of a rundown on what those hand-ins were on day one versus on day two?
Yeah, I don't want to see a beef cheek ever again in my life. My beef cheeks we put on at 6 a.m. and usually it's about a 6 hour cook. Boat it, rest it, pull it, whatever you got to do. And for me, it was 5 seconds before window closed, hand in beef cheeks, and I couldn't finish it in the offset. I threw it in the pellet grill and bumped it to 235 Celsius just to get them done. So never want to see a beef cheek ever again. I might just sit that one out, give the task to somebody else if it does pop up again.
Outsource, mate. I like that.
Yeah, but we got it done. We didn't miss the hand in, so we got it done. But was it the best beef cheek I've ever eaten? No, definitely not. No. But so we had beef cheeks, beef ribs. We had half chicken and lamb on day one, which lamb was the known protein that we all cook usually in the ABA circuit. But beef cheeks and beef ribs, I think the only time I've ever really done beef ribs for comp was Bundaberg, the 2 Bundaberg comps that I've done. But I think it's become more common than I think more so with more open beef categories, you know what I mean? So more people are cooking them. But yeah, in saying that, the half chicken was great. Beef cheeks were horrible. The beef ribs were fun. But yeah, no, it was a good experience. Day one was awesome. But then day two was more known territory for a lot of teams. I think we were all feeling a lot more comfortable, and I sort of took day one and said anyone that can win that competition on day one just shows how good of a cook they are. It just shows how good of a team they are to adapt to that. And yep, congratulations to More Better Barbecue. Fly in from New Zealand and take it out, because hats off to them. That was not easy. It was horrible, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you something. I do like half chicken. The half chicken was awesome. It was I think if you watching any stuff from Texas and overseas, in the States, they do a lot of. I think it's. You could correct me here, Ben, but it's ICBA or
IBCA, I think.
IBCA. And for me, it was a crash course 35-minute video before the competition, just seeing how do you trim a half chicken to like comp spec, and at those guys, hats off to them, man. It's not easy handing in one bit of meat on the bone, everything connected, making sure all the different muscles are cooked, evenly and perfect and juicy, all the same is not easy at all. So yeah, congratulations to More Better Barbecue. That those guys are weapons.
Got a project you'd like to work on with the SHC team? Shoot Ben an email on ben@smokinghotconfessions.com and let's have a conversation.
Alrighty, mate. I want to sort of circle back to yourself a bit and be caught up on your journey. So, do you have like a chef background? Because I've seen some of the photos on your social media of the stuff that you put out, and man, there's got to be some training behind that.
No, all self-taught.
No. Oh wow.
No, not a chef by any means. This is my second job in a commercial kitchen, and I'm learning every day. Thoroughly just enjoying my time and one of the chefs there says to me all the time, they're like, "Oh, geez, you're a bit rough around the edges, but I'm glad that you know what you're doing." And it's just like, I think it's just been years of cooking. Like my mum was a really good cook, is a really good cook. She doesn't really cook much anymore, but she's a great cook, and I learned a lot from her. And I remember being in high school and just thinking, when I did the home economic classes, I was like, this is something that I really enjoy doing. I love it. And for as long as I remember, I always wanted to be a chef. I always wanted to be involved with food. And my dad used to jokingly say when I was younger, he's like, "Yeah, but you'd eat all the food, because there'd be none for the customers." So, but I've had a love for food and a real deep appreciation for food, and for a very long time. And I think that's just where it's become. I'd never really followed it earlier in my life to do a trade, but enjoyed the fact that I could just learn as I go, and just follow recipes, learn different things off the internet and stuff like that too.
Yeah, sounds like a more relaxed way of doing things, like a much more enjoyable way of getting into that industry.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, it's also too, like, you think you know what you're capable of until you actually get put under immense pressure, and you've got 400 people to feed one night, and it's like really test you. But I remember just like being the first week in the restaurant, and obviously it was a bit of a sink or swim type of scenario, and we had, I think it was day 3, and I was just like, after service, I was like, "We've got the best job in the world. We seriously have the best job in the world." It was just so great to get it out of the way, because it's like running a marathon and then finally getting a drink break. But it was but like, you love every second of it. You're just doing what you do normally, and you're kind of on autopilot. It's just, you don't really have to think about it. You're just doing what you love doing, which is what I love. And I think I'm very grateful too, because guys that have probably fallen into an industry like in that industry, into hospo, probably didn't maybe not come from a love for it. Maybe we're just like, "Hey, what am I good at? Oh, I'm good at cooking at home. I'll go do my trade." Like, "Oh, I'm not good on power tools, but I know how to work a knife," And that's why, some of them just go, "Long hours, I hate it." And I think that's what took me out of it when I was younger. I didn't want it to ruin my passion. But I think I'm very grateful now, coming into it that later in life at 30 years old, just doing it and, enjoying it. It's like a new lease on life.
Yeah, right. So what were you doing before you got into that then? Like, what was your professional background?
So I was always in, my first full-time job, I was in like a customer service type role,
Oh,
in
wow.
corporate sales, working for a massive stationery company. And then I transitioned into technology, in a sales division of technology, and worked inside sales and as a sales assistant type of thing. And then the last part of my commercial career was a sales rep, like a representative of the business, and for technology, and used to sell and asset management and all that sort of stuff. Just collecting data from different various businesses, like big businesses. And then when 2020 rolled around, and that year just went a bit pear shaped, I got made redundant from my job of 13 years,
Oh,
and
wow.
I could do one of two things. I could take a couple of weeks off and find a job, or I can jump in the job straight away. And I started a job working in the meatworks out at for Woolworths, to then they recognizing that I had this 13 years of skills on their systems, to then go, "Hey, we want to put you in this team." But it was like really funny too, because it's then working with raw product meat, kind of already kickstart my I won't say the word, but it forced me into a different industry very quickly. So seeing it from a primal, very raw state, how it was handled, to then going, "All right, this is how it's going to be cooked," and I think that's it was really awesome to see that. So I actually left that job to go work for Lane's Barbecue, so with Brett Stokes and Rachel at the time. and I loved it. Like, that was just for me, that was what I thought was a dream job too. Like, so I was doing content, and I was doing doing a lot of cooking and being creative. But I also think too, it was like it got to a point for me where it was like, I love this brand, I love the product, I love what I'm doing, but what can I do and challenge myself a little bit more? And that's when I took the opportunity. I rang Luke, knowing full well that he had a restaurant coming up, and I said, I want my to play my hand at this, and he's like, I'd love to have you on board. So it's worked out really, really well, you know.
Yeah, that's it's quite the evolutionary journey there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I wish I did it. I wish I did it sooner, but I also grateful that I didn't, because I've in that 13 years I had a lot of what would you say, life experience. Learned a lot of lessons. I knew what I learned a lot of things about the values of different people and how to treat different people, whether you've met them before or not. And there's just so many so many things that you learn about yourself through basic training, through working for a big organization like that. And I'm very grateful for that. I'd never look back and think, oh geez, that was a horrible experience. There was days that were horrible, but it it, I'm grateful for it. It was all learning in the end.
Yeah, and I can see how for you it's all been building blocks as well. It's not been you've never sort of gone left path. You've always sort of gone, okay, I've got this, now I'm going to add this, now I'm going to add that, and you've kind of progressed vertically. It's a really interesting evolution to see.
So I was just going to say as well, in saying that we, in that 13 years, I didn't know much about what I really wanted to do at that time too. Like, I knew I wanted to be involved in food with somehow, because it was what I was, I guess, say good at, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it was just like, you get comfortable, you sit in a chair each day or on a forklift, whatever it is that you do, and you get comfortable with what you do, and it pays the bills. But I actually just then, after this, all these things happened in 2020, I was just like, what do I actually want to do? Where do I want to be? What do I want to do to be happy? And I'm glad I chose this direction now, because it's working. So
Yeah, with all the madness that was happening and you being made redundant there, it could have been a real sort of, it obviously was a real defining moment for you, and you've taken the opportunity rather than seeing the sort of being caught up in the loss of losing that career, and you've managed to turn that into something really positive. Now, you started mentioning Phat Boyz before. Now that's a new barbecue restaurant that's opened up recently. At the time of recording this, it's been opened recently. Tell us a bit about Phat Boyz Smokehouse.
So Phat Boyz Smokehouse, or Meat Church, what Luke likes to call it. So Luke, I got to know through the shop at Bundamba when he had the retail outlet, and I got to know him just from various chats and going in and buying a few different bits and pieces. And I at the time I already had a sponsorship for rubs, and I had my lane sponsorship prior to that with Brett, and so I didn't really need any like stuff for competition wise, but I used to go in and buy charcoal and that sort of stuff from him. And we just got chatting one day, and he's just like, oh, I do this and that for food. Like, I do this every Friday, and it's like within an hour, stuff's sold out, and he's doing these crazy big burgers and all these amazing creations. And I'm like, this guy's like speaking my language here. Like, this is what I love. And when he's like, he offered me a sponsorship, because he ended up getting at the time he was getting like cuts of meat and stuff, and in the window, and just selling bits and pieces of primal product. And he was just like, oh, I'd love to give you a brisket for competition, and I'd love to do this. And I'm just like, you know what, I'm for me, I'm gonna take him up on that offer. And we sort of formed a really good bond over barbecue in general. But I think in the end we ended up just becoming better mates. Not because of barbecue, but we were just I'd get in trouble for taking too long to come home. My wife would be like, where have you been? I said, we've just been talking, you know? And he was an integral part for me to really kickstart my my food journey, in the sense that one Christmas we decided that when we had all those bushfires back in 2019, late 2019, I think it was, he said to me, he's like, you know, do you want to do something through the shop, and you want to sell some cheesecakes? Because I you know, make a lot of cakes and stuff on the side. And he's just like, I just said, yeah, look, and we'll give a donation back to the fire people, the firefighters, and will help me get my name out there. And yeah, he was just a real integral part of pushing me, without him even probably thinking he was pushing me. He was an integral part of me just becoming, you know, more involved with food. So that's how we ended up at the restaurant. And you know, he likes to call it the meat church because it looks like a church from the outside, but it's just flooded with smoke, you know. So
I think someone's already trademarked that name, though. He needs to be a bit careful with that one.
No, definitely. No, we're not like saying it in like put it on t-shirts or anything like that. But it's just it's the adopted name because it does look a bit like a church. But you know, and look, for us, it's the last 4 weeks have been learning and how to be consistent with good food. And I've learned a lot about how a commercial kitchen runs. It's not easy. It's long hours. It's exhausting in terms of putting out the same food constantly, consistently. It is exhausting, but it is the best job in the world. Like I said to you earlier, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, 4 weeks on, well, coming on 5 weeks, and yeah, finally getting past that little hurdle, and now doing some good things. So hopefully, it just keeps on continuing upwards.
I dare say it will, mate. He's done a lot of work to prepare that venue. It looks huge from what I've seen on the social medias. And you're right, it does have that kind of that modern church look to it. You know, there's the big glass wall in front and the high ceilings and the sprawling greenery around out the front. It just looks absolutely sensational.
It's something that area desperately needed, and so many people, and I could name them all off, said to me, "Hey, like, how's that going to work in a town with 1,700 people? Like, that's all Walloon has."
1,700.
That's the
Wow.
population of Walloon. They've got the old pub called the Walloon Saloon, and a service station and a local IGA, and that's about all. Nothing. It's bugger all. But you've got to remember too, like, we are dead smack in between two highways, one going to Toowoomba, one going out to Brisbane. And it's about an hour to Brisbane and about an hour to Toowoomba. So you've got different walks of life coming from different areas, you know, all these different people that never even heard of barbecue, trying our food, to enthusiasts traveling all the way from, you know, from Toowoomba or from Brisbane or even the Gold Coast. We had people come from Sydney before this madness started again. Yeah, people come from Sydney saying, I want to do this burger challenge, I want to do this, and I want to do that. And they're flying people up, and it's just been overwhelming. It's been so cool, you know, being a part of something that's massive, you know.
It got a lot of media attention too, didn't it? I'm pretty sure I saw like Luke had posted a Channel 7 or Channel 9 news clip interview or something.
Yeah, so they came out, and then we had some food critics. There was a whole table of food critics that came out on soft opening for the day before family and friends, and they loved the food, but they thought it was sensational and put all these write-ups in the paper, and you know, I'm seeing my name get mentioned, and I'm like, wait, what on earth is going on here? Like, I just like, I'm just a guy that cooks barbecue in his backyard. Like, what am I doing here? So like, for me, it's been a real honor to be recognized for something. And I won't say that it's all come from pure luck, because, you know, I'm a firm believer that luck's for losers sometimes, you know, like, I think if you just hope on that, but there is probably a little bit of luck, but I think there's a lot of hard work that's gone into it, and for me, it's probably just been a personal brand, and being working on that for so long that it's been recognised by a few people that enjoy food as much as I do, and they say good things about it. So I'm just stoked,
You're listening to the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions podcast with massive barbecue nerd Ben Arnott.
Alrighty, Daniel, this is the third segment of the show now. This is the lesson for the listeners and the viewers. So, mate, over to you. You wanted to get to talk about the evolution of barbecue in Australia. So I'm going to just sort of sit back and just take in some of this wisdom that you're going to share with us now.
Oh, I wouldn't know if it's wisdom, but I'll give it my best shot. No, I think when you asked me that question before we jumped on here, I think it was, what did you want to talk about? And for me, the game has changed vastly from when I started in 2019. My first ABA comp was Bundaberg 2019. Before
Good choice.
Yeah, and I kept hearing from numerous people that it was one of the better competitions to do, and we threw our hat in the ring with 49 teams, and we didn't come last. I was like, yeah, we didn't come last. Mind you, we came last in pork rib, but we don't mention that. But from that time, 2019 to now, the evolution of the game has changed, vastly. And I think I went back and I looked at some old, like I said to you before, before we went on the air, is that you look at old hand-in boxes to what was considered like this great barbecue to what it is now. The attention to detail is just gone through the roof. And to see blokes that that are still doing it from back in 2015, 16, like your double barrels and those guys, and to still win trophies, like it just shows you how good they are, and that they can adapt. They can really adapt. But I just love how from afar, it's this little thing as American barbecue has had this stigma of being like, oh, it's the Yankee food, it's the food of the American people. While we're all so very judged as culturally of not having much of a culture in Australia. Why are we taking on all these cultures of different countries? And it's because it's good. It's amazing. So it's great food. It's a good excuse to light a fire. I think it brings out that primal instinct of us all. There's nothing like lighting a fire, and it's very primitive. And it's if you just enjoy lighting a fire to keep warm, it's like, why not throw some meat on it too? It's just changed. It's changed a lot in the last 6 years or so, from what I can see. But I really enjoy the fact that it's not the same. Every year something's changing. Different people are popping up and doing really well and teaching people how to do things and just reinventing the wheel. It's just, you're forever learning. It's so cool.
Yeah, I love what you're saying about the hand-in boxes there. My first ever competition I ever did was a little backyard competition in 2014. And the Meat Sweats had just won the first Port Mac like 3 weeks before, and they rolled up to this competition, and I didn't know who they were, and some of the other competitors were like, "Oh my God, it's the Meat Sweats!" And I was like, "Oh, who are the Meat Sweats?" And they explained about Port Macquarie. I was like, "Wait, what? That sounds awesome!" And because I'd just gone along to this competition because I was helping out my buddy who was putting it on, and he'd had someone cancel, and I remember seeing Vaughn sitting there chopping parsley, and I had to know what he was doing because I had no idea why he was sitting there chopping parsley. And I walked up and he took time out to explain it all to me, and then he gave me all his leftover parsley and said, "Here, this is what you need to get started," because I was just throwing the meat in a box and just sending it in. And so my teammates got really excited. They went, "Oh, we can decorate the box," and they tore off down to Coles. And they bought red capsicum, and there was corn on the cob and all sorts of stuff. And one of the ladies that was on the team, she was from Taiwan, and so she loved to like hand carve all these cute little things. And so she basically like carved a little like a little map of Australia out of the side of a red capsicum, and we put that in the box. And of course, you're not allowed to do that, but we didn't know that. But but yeah,
That's awesome. That was like my first comp in Bundaberg. I pulled in, handed in pulled rib meat because I overcooked the ribs, and I'm like, oh, you actually have to keep it on the bone. It's just funny, like, yeah, like. But when you said, the meat sweats, and you get like a bit of a fangirl, people, I'm still like that with Vaughn. He's
oh,
he's an awesome bloke. He's so
legends
cool.
of the game. Now, just sort of looping back to evolution there, there's two hand-ins that I think have evolved wildly in the last couple of years, and I'm going to mention them both and then sort of throw it over to you for your thoughts. The first one, of course, is chicken. Chicken has had massive evolution, and it seems to go every couple of months. It kind of seems to shift and change, and people are doing something else. And the other one is lamb. So when I first started out, lamb, you'd pick a cut. And now when I look at the judging boxes, there's 3, 4, 5 different cuts of lamb in a box. So I'd like to just sort of throw that over to you and get your thoughts on the evolution of chicken and lamb.
Oh, for sure. Like, I think chicken's a big one. My first experience with chicken was doing like cupcake chicken, putting them in the tins and deboning them. And I thought they had to be like this small, just tiny little, 50-cent
Tubes.
pieces. Yeah. And that's what, from what I could research and understand, that's what people were handing in and winning trophies. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that. But of course I came dead last. I'm like, I just didn't really know what I was doing. But, in saying that, like, I've seen people now throw in whole Marylands and chicken drumsticks, and, to make a drumstick look that pretty is pretty insane, like, I'm still a thigh person, bone in thigh. Hasn't failed me really yet. But then again, I've never really been the greatest chicken cook, but slowly now, well, getting up there with chicken, which is good. So just fine tuning a few things. So I think I might be onto a winning formula, but yeah, I'm not changing. I'm not going Marylands or anything like that. I'm going the traditional thighs and tender skin and juicy thighs, But lamb's the same. My box always is the same cuts. I don't do lamb ribs or anything like that, like a lot of teams. But they're the teams that seem to do really well with lamb. Like they're putting something on the bone. But I hand in shanks, backstrap, and cutlets all the time. So have mixed results. But yeah, I'm not. I want to get that right before I move on to something else.
Between like 3 different cuts of lamb in that box there, that gets to be quite an expensive box, doesn't it?
It's the most expensive part, apart from brisket. If you get an MB9 plus Wagyu brisket, it's you're upwards of $300. So lamb is up there. Backstrap's not cheap, and especially if you get really good backstrap, it's fairly expensive. And I always cook 2 and then 2 backstraps, and I get a couple of cutlets as well, usually about 8 bones of cutlets, and I get maybe 2 or 3. And then again, you add all that up, it's more expensive than a brisket, at the end of the day. But shanks are the cheap stuff. That's why I do it, It's like, I do the shanks because they don't take as long to cook. They pull apart nicely. They got good texture, and just to put in some pulled meat in the box,
Yeah, I'm going to throw up some inverted commas around cheap though when we're talking about shanks, because the prices have trebled in like the last 3 years, I think.
Yeah, when I first started barbecuing about 10 years ago, I used to just cook on like a gas grill or whatever. And, I used to think I was awesome putting stuff in a foil tray and letting it smoke and all that sort of stuff. And, not knowing what I was really doing. But I used to buy the whole lamb shoulders, the lamb legs, and then chop off the shank and give it to my dog because it was like, it was not even really. I mean, I'd eaten shanks before, of course, but I didn't really think too much about it. It's like, until someone's like, why don't you cook the shank? I'm like, I gave it to my dog. And they're like, oh, geez, you've got a lucky dog.
Yeah. Look, this is probably a good point for us to start throwing in some of the viewer questions. Now, the first one, I suspect this might be a stitch-up, but let's have a bit of a look at this. Good morning, mate. Can you ask Daniel how to remove cheesecake from the roof of a barbecue trailer? Asking for myself. I get the feeling there's a story behind that one.
Yeah. No, because I don't clean the roof of trailers that don't belong to me. So that would probably be Lucas Armstrong or Shane Harris. In Melbourne, before the first wave of the went through. We were down there for Lane's Barbecue. We were doing the meat stock, and we were vendoring down there, and it all got canned. Jay had put the notification out to say, "Hey, look, we're pulling the plug," and all these guys from the States came over primarily for the SCA, for these amazing teams that just do really well over there, like Sandy Brown and like William Mann and those guys that are world champions, taking home like trophies every weekend. And they would have been just really disappointed because everything, got shut down fairly quickly. So Sheepy, Jay Becker, he put on a sheep stock when we were down there. So obviously everything getting canned, I went and helped Dan White and did all the ancillaries for him. And back then, now he's like the ancillary king. I was doing some of the ancillaries with him and helping him. And we were with Lucas and Shane, and I was making these cheesecakes, and somehow cheesecake ended up on the roof of his trailer and all over his trailer. And he's just like, how does one guy manage to make that much mess in that least amount of time? So, yeah, it's just been an ongoing joke. Every time I see him, I'm like, hey, are you still cleaning that cheesecake off the roof of your trailer? Yeah, no, it's good times. Hilarious.
So did you actually blow it up, or did you have a beater and then you held the beater in the air and ran it and it sprayed everywhere? How did it get up on the roof?
I don't know. I actually don't know. It was a baked cheesecake that we did in the apartment at the Airbnb the night before, and I just assembled it in the boxes, cut it, put it in the box, and somehow it ended up on his roof. And it was like a red velvet cheesecake or something. I can't remember what it was. It was bright red as well, and it's gone all over the place. But he's just like, how on earth did you do that? I was like, I don't know, man.
So with the white walls there in Lucas's trailer, it would look like a murder scene.
Oh, and it was back then it was brand new. He was so stoked with the trailer, and I've just destroyed it.
Yeah.
No,
all right.
Sorry, Lucas. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all.
Okay, so next question. How do we get new teams into the hobby? Struggling for numbers for a few SA events. Has it just been a tricky 18 months, or is it just SA? And are we steadying out? I'm assuming that's a question do you think the barbecue scene has hit saturation point?
I think a lot of teams are struggling now to find new members because I think people don't want to put themselves at risk, or especially when it's such trying times too. Like people might have cut back on hours with work and these type of things. So money is a big thing financially in barbecue. It is such an expensive sport, and I think that's what people realize. Good help is hard to find. And the whole idea behind getting new teams or people getting into the hobby, it's they've got to actually be invested in wanting to cook low and slow food. And it could start with a Weber kettle, or it could start with offset barbecue, but you've got to actually want to be able to do it and have it in your backyard and put in a few hours practice before you go give it a go. And I think that's what's few and far between. 18 months has probably been a few trying times. People saving their pennies and not buying, smokers. Not that they don't want to, they probably want to, and they want to learn how to do it. But I'd say that's probably a big part of it as well. But we've got the same issue here. You get guys that message and say, can we jump on teams that, pre-existing teams, because they don't want to start their own, because are they embarrassed to do it, or do they don't want to come dead last, or do they just want to learn? And, I've been a big advocate for that too. I would love to have somebody jump on my team, and whether I can teach them something, I don't know if I can, but if I could, I would, and I think that's about returning that favor that, like I said to you before, the Dane Cowans and the Dan Whites and Lucases and those type of guys that have given me a helping hand and words of encouragement and bit of barbecue knowledge to be able to make me better at what I do, then I'd love to return the favor for sure. So if anyone's out there and wants to learn, and next barbecue competition, for sure, hit us up.
All right, look, that's probably a good point for us to start to wrap up this episode now, mate. You've been incredibly generous with your time. I'm going to throw it over to you now to give some shout-outs, give some thanks to people who've helped you or inspired you along the way, and make sure they tell everybody where they can track you down on the social media.
Yeah, thanks, mate. No, I really appreciate that. And, just a big thank you to the guys that have supported me, especially from the very beginning. I had the two butchers out at Springfield who gave me my first opportunity with sponsorship for meat. Condolences to Steve's family. And Steve unfortunately had passed away from cancer. And he, he's a big ambassador for me. He was really behind what I was doing. And a big thank you to them for giving me my start. A big shout out to Ironwood Smokers or Ironwood Smoking, Steve Spinner for giving me a chance where he believed in me when I did it as well. When I didn't myself, he gave me the opportunity to start. Brett Stokes, Lane's Barbecue for being behind me, for encouraging me to do a really good job, and he really believed in something that I didn't even see from the beginning too. And he's been a big he's been really encouraging to me, and I really want to thank him as well. Super Butcher guys, amazing guys. Joel, Bryce, Dan, Jaden, all those guys at Super Butcher, Rach, old workmate as well. Just amazing human beings, really generous with their time, and they want to see us succeed before they want anything in return. And all I can give them back at these certain times is just my time, and I'll continue to do so. But yeah, a big thank you to Luke for giving me the opportunity to do what I want to do in life, and giving me the opportunity to still go out and go to these events and represent his business and myself. And I'm very grateful for all of that. And just a massive thank you to all the supporters and sponsors and everyone that's actually got us to where we are today. So really do appreciate you all, and hopefully see you all at the next event.
Beautiful, man. Some great words there. Now, can you just quickly remind everybody where they can track you down on the social?
Oh yeah, find us on Instagram. It's Smoke Beyond Smoke, all one word, and on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Smoke Beyond Smoke, and also no, we don't have Snapchat or anything like that, so that's where you can find us.
Not that you're going to tell anybody publicly anyway, because I know what goes on in Snapchat.
No, definitely. I'm not on there. And if I ever was, I deleted
Yeah.
it.
Well, look, mate, thank you very much for your time. It sounds like you might have a puppy dog there that you need to go and give his lunch to. So I'll say thank you very much for your time, and I'll catch you again soon.
Thank you so much, Ben. Appreciate your time, mate. Thank you.
And there you have it, family. How good was that? That was Daniel Barrington from Smoked Beyond Smoked, who's the new pitmaster at the new Phat Boyz Smokehouse restaurant out in Walloon there. Sounds like an absolute ripper of a place. I'm going to have to get out there and see it pretty soon, I think. All right, so before I let you go, there's just some announcements that I need to run by you just to remind you of. Our Podcast Partners program is now open, so you'll be able to send me some emails or some messages about that so we can help you get your message out there to the crowd. If you're at the start of your journey, there's the ebook over on the website, the Beginner's Guide to Real Barbecue. It's smokinghotconfessions.com, totally free. Thank you to everybody who's joined us online for this live recording in our Facebook group, the Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Community. If you'd like to come along and be a part of the recordings and also be part of the friendliest barbecue group on Facebook, do come and join us over on that. And I can just tell you right now that this episode with Daniel has been a crowd favorite. He's got 128 little hearts have come through the software here, 19 thumbs up, and at one stage we had well over 25, 30 people joining us live for the recording. So he's obviously been a crowd favorite, and you can be part of the show too. And aside from that, if you're on the socials, do the things for us, the likes, the shares, the comments. Tell a friend is probably the most important thing. If you've got a friend who's into barbecue, tell them, hey, you got to check out Smoking Hot Confessions. That would really help us out. And that is about all the time we have for today. So until next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing.
Thanks for listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com for recipes, tips, and Ben's own confessions.